My name is Kelly Bryant. I'm 26 years old. 13 years ago, on a freezing November night, my mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, and said the words that would change my life forever. Get out. I don't want a daughter like you in this house. I was 13, barefoot, shaking, and completely alone. The reason my older sister told a lie, not a mistake, not a misunderstanding, a deliberate lie, crafted perfectly knowing exactly how our parents would react. And they believed her. Without hesitation, without question, just like that. I disappeared from their world. 3 hours later, they got a call from the police. I had been found unconscious near the roadside after collapsing in the cold. When my father rushed into the hospital room and saw who was sitting beside my bed, he stopped, his face drained of color, his hands started trembling. That's impossible. How are you here? The woman sitting beside me was Dr. Vanessa Carter, one of the most respected child psychologists in the state. She was the one who found me, the one who stayed, the one who didn't walk away. That night changed everything. Last month, I stood on a stage at my sister's graduation ceremony as the keynote speaker. My family had no idea I was coming. Before I reveal what really happened, take a moment to subscribe, but only if this story truly resonates with you and reminds you how powerful it is to rise above the past to choose your own path. I'm also curious, where are you listening from right now? And what's the weather like there? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. The next part of this story includes fictional elements and is supported by AI for emotional and educational storytelling purposes. I hope you'll enjoy the journey. Now, let's continue. I learned very early in life that in our house, my sister's emotions mattered more than my existence. Her name was Lauren, and in my parents' eyes, she was everything. I was just there. When I was 10, I won first place at a regional science competition. I'd spent weeks building a project on renewable water filtration. Out of 35 students, I came in first. I remember running all the way home, clutching the certificate in my hands, heart racing with excitement. Mom, I won. She smiled, hugged me. That's wonderful. Kelly. For a moment, I felt seen. Then the front door opened. Lauren walked in. She was 12 at the time, face flushed, eyes filled with tears. I messed up my performance. Everyone laughed at me. And just like that, my moment disappeared. Mom pulled away from me instantly, rushed over to her. Oh, honey, it's okay. You did your best. I stood there, still holding my certificate. No one asked to see it. No one cared. That was the pattern. Lauren needed more attention. Lauren was more fragile. Lauren had to be protected. And me, I learned to shrink, to celebrate quietly, to not need too much, to not be too much. By the time I was 13, I stopped showing them anything. Straight A's didn't matter. Achievements didn't matter. Nothing I did ever outweighed Lauren's tears. When I got accepted into a summer academic program full scholarship, 2 weeks at a top university, I thought, maybe this time would be different. Dad barely looked up from his laptop. That's good. Then Lauren started crying. Why does she get to leave? That's not fair. Mom sighed, put her arm around her. Kelly, maybe you can stay this year. Your sister needs you. I didn't argue. I already knew how this would end. I stayed. They called it family unity. They called it being understanding. They called it being the bigger person. I learned to be small, invisible, convenient. But the breaking point was coming. I just didn't know. It would come so fast. The lies didn't start big. They never do. Lauren would take my things without asking. When I mentioned it carefully, gently, she'd deny it immediately. I never touched your stuff. Even when it was sitting right there in her room, Mom would just sigh. Kelly, stop causing problems. Then one day, money went missing. $40 from Mom's purse. Lauren said she saw me near it that morning. I hadn't been. I'd left early for school. Dad called me into his office. Did you take the money? No. Lauren said you did. She's lying. His expression hardened. Don't accuse your sister. But I didn't enough. His voice cut through me. I'm disappointed in you. Kelly, I thought you were better than this. I lost my phone. I lost the trust I never even had. And the opportunity I'd been hoping for next summer. Gone. We can't trust you right now, Mom said. Lauren stood at the top of the stairs, watching, and when our parents turned away, she smiled. That missing money. It wasn't about the money. It was a test. She was learning something dangerous, that she could lie, and I would always pay the price. After that, things escalated. A broken lamp. My fault. Her failing grades, I didn't help enough. Rumors at school, I must have started them. It didn't matter what it was. The answer was always the same. Me. I stopped defending myself. What was the point? They never believed me anyway. By 13, I felt like a ghost in my own home, invisible unless I was being blamed. So I stayed out more. At school, at the library, anywhere but home. I told myself I just had to hold on. Just a few more years. And I could leave. I could build a life where I actually mattered. I thought I could survive it. I thought I had time. I was wrong. I told myself I could hold on for a few more years. I was wrong. That October. Everything felt different. Heavier. Like something was building beneath the surface, waiting to break. There was a boy in my AP chemistry class. His name was Ryan Carter. He was nice. Kind of awkward. Completely terrible at balancing equations. He'd asked me for help a few times after class, and I stayed back to explain stoichiometry, step by step. That was it. Just homework. Just helping a classmate. But to Lauren, it was something else entirely. She had a crush on him. Not just a simple crush. Obsessive. Intense. She would walk past my classroom just to catch a glimpse of him. I once found her notebook when I was returning a pen she'd taken from me. She had written her name over and over again. Lauren Hayes Carter. I remember feeling uneasy when I saw that. On Tuesday. Ryan caught me at my locker. Hey. Thanks for yesterday. You seriously saved me. I smiled. No problem. He hesitated for a second. Maybe we could study together before the midterm. Sure? The library works? Cool, he said, then walked off. I turned slightly, and that's when I saw her. Lauren, standing at the end of the hallway, watching. Her face was pale, completely still. That night at dinner, she barely spoke, just pushed her food around her plate while Mom kept asking if she was okay. Lauren just shrugged, said nothing. And that silence, I should have known. Her silence was always more dangerous than her tears. On Thursday, something else happened. We had a guest speaker in biology class, Dr. Vanessa Carter from Northbridge University. She was giving a lecture about educational inequality and youth opportunity. Most students were bored. Half of them were on their phones. But I stayed after, asked her questions, real questions. She looked at me differently after that. You have a sharp mind, she said, handing me her card. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. I smiled, thanked her. I had no idea. She would become the most important person in my life. A week later, the storm warnings began. A big one, Everyone was talking about it. Preparing, buying supplies, boarding up windows. Lauren still wasn't speaking to me, wouldn't look at me. I remember thinking, maybe this was a good thing. At least I'd have a quiet weekend. Time to study. Time to breathe. I had no idea what she was planning. Friday night. The rain started around 6. We ate dinner in near silence. The emergency alerts kept buzzing on Dad's phone. Wind warnings, flood alerts. The tension in the house felt thick. Lauren kept picking at her food. I could feel her eyes on me. Every time I looked up, she looked away. After dinner, I went upstairs to my room and started my English homework. Outside, the wind was rising. Rain slammed against the windows. The kind of storm that makes you feel lucky just to be inside. Around 8, I heard crying downstairs. Loud, broken. Lauren. I froze, my pen hovering above the page. Mom's voice followed. Soft. Worried. Sweetheart. What's wrong? Talk to me. More sobbing. I waited. Listening. Maybe she got hurt. Maybe something happened at school. Then Dad's voice cut through everything. Kelly, get down here. Now. My stomach dropped instantly. I stood up slowly and walked toward the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. Lauren was on the couch, buried in Mom's arms. Mom was stroking her hair, whispering to her. Dad stood near the fireplace, arms crossed, face flushed with anger. What's going on? I asked. Lauren lifted her head. Her eyes were red, swollen, filled with tears. She looked at me, and for just a second, I saw something else behind those tears. Something cold, something calculated. Then it disappeared. Tell her, Dad said sharply. Lauren's lip trembled. Why do you hate me so much? The words hit me like a shock. What, I don't hate you. Then why? She choked. Why are you spreading rumors about me at school? My mind went blank. What rumors about me and Ryan? About me cheating? About me being a liar? The room felt like it tilted. Lauren, I never don't lie to her. Mom said quietly. Just don't. I'm not lying, I said, my voice shaking. I don't even know what she's talking about. Lauren's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone. Then explain this. She held it up. A screenshot. A group chat. Messages filled with cruel, vicious things. Supposedly written by me, my name, my profile picture, but not my words. I didn't write those. I said, someone's using my account, stop. Dad's voice cracked like thunder. Just stop lying. I'm not. And Ryan, Lauren whispered, her voice breaking again. You knew I liked him, but you've been flirting with him, making me look stupid. He asked me for help with chemistry. I said desperately. That's all. That's all it was. Lauren's voice rose, sharp and trembling. You've been staying after class with him, meeting him at the library. He told his friend he thinks you're pretty. We're just study partners, I said, my voice barely steady. You tried to steal him from me. She stood up suddenly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. And last week, you pushed me on the stairs. My heart stopped. What? Look. She pulled up her sleeve. A dark purple bruise marked her forearm. I stared at it, my mind racing. I never touched you. You did. Mom. She did. Lauren cried, clinging tighter to her. I didn't want to say anything. I thought maybe she was just stressed. Mom stood up then, stepping between us like a barrier. Kelly. This is serious. If you hurt your sister, I didn't. Then how did she get that bruise? Dad demanded. I don't know, I said, shaking. Maybe she did it herself. The words hung in the air like something dangerous. Lauren's eyes widened, Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. You think I'd hurt myself just to frame you? Yes, I shouted, desperation breaking through me. Yes, because you do this. You lie. You've been lying about me for years. Dad took a step closer to me, his expression hardening. Is this true? Kelly. You've been bullying your sister. No, please, just listen to me. I've heard enough. His fist slammed against the wall. I've heard enough of your excuses. They're not excuses, I said, my voice cracking. Please, just let me explain. There's nothing to explain, Mom said quietly, disappointed, cold. I thought we raised you better than this. Lauren buried her face in her hands, sobbing harder. The perfect victim. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for a brief moment, she looked back. No tears, no fear, just calculation. You're lying, I whispered. I'm not, she said, and her voice didn't shake at all. You are. You made all of this up. Kelly. Mom started. She's lying, I said again, turning to Dad. Please. You have to believe me. I would never hurt her. I would never spread rumors. She's doing this because she's jealous. Because Ryan doesn't like her. That's it. Silence. Then Dad spoke. His voice was flat. Cold. I don't want to hear another word from you. My chest tightened. You're sick, he said. The word hit harder than anything else. Sick. I'm not. You need help. Professional help. I felt like the ground beneath me disappeared. But right now, he pointed toward the door. I need you out of my sight. Outside. The storm raged. Rain slammed against the windows. Thunder shook the house. Dad. It's storming, I whispered. I don't care. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. His face twisted with something I had never seen before. Disgust. Get out. I don't want a daughter like you in this house. The words carved into me, like I was broken, like I didn't belong. I turned to Mom, silently begging. Say something. Stop him. Tell him this isn't real. She didn't even look at me. Her arms stayed wrapped around Lauren. I reached for my jacket. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip it. And then, the door slammed behind me, through the glass. I saw Lauren standing there, watching me. She wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. The rain hit me instantly, cold, violent. Within seconds, I was completely soaked. I stood on the porch for a moment, frozen, waiting. Maybe Dad would come after me. Maybe he'd open the door and say he made a mistake. The door stayed closed, so I started walking. I didn't know where I was going. Just away. Away from that house. Away from Lauren's lies. Away from parents who believed I was something broken. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Low battery. 8%. I pulled it out, hands trembling, and called my friend Emily. No answer. Then Rachel. Straight to voicemail. It was Friday night. Everyone was home. Safe. Warm. Not me. The wind whipped my hair across my face. Rain came down in sheets. I could barely see a few feet ahead. Cars passed by, splashing water onto the sidewalk. No one stopped. I headed toward the town library. Maybe I could stay there until the storm passed. But when I got there, it was closed. Dark, locked, empty. The bus station was 2 miles away. If I could make it there, I could at least sit inside, stay warm, think. So I kept walking, each step heavier than the last. My shoes were soaked, squelching with every movement. My jacket clung to my skin. I was so cold my teeth wouldn't stop chattering. Thunder cracked overhead. Lightning tore across the sky. For a moment, I thought about turning back, knocking on the door, begging to be let in. But then I remembered the look on Dad's face. That disgust. That certainty. Sick. The word echoed in my mind. And for the first time, a terrifying thought crept in. What if he was right? What if something really was wrong with me? If you think my parents were right to believe the lie and kick me out into the freezing cold, please write agree. If you know you would never make a choice that cold, type no. I believe deep down, you already know what the right answer is. Why else would my own family choose Lauren over me every single time the bus station was still a mile away? The rain got heavier, the wind stronger. I could barely see where I was going. I stepped into an intersection, the light glowing green above me. I remember that clearly. It was green, but the storm blurred everything. I didn't see the headlights until it was almost too late. They came out of nowhere, bright, blinding. A horn screamed through the rain. Tires screeched against wet pavement. I tried to move, tried to jump back, but I wasn't fast enough. The impact hit me hard, throwing my body sideways. For a split second, I felt myself lifted off the ground. Then everything crashed down. The hood, the pavement. My head slammed against the asphalt. Pain exploded through me, white, blinding, consuming everything. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Rain poured into my mouth, my eyes. The world felt wrong, tilted, distant. I heard a car door slam, footsteps running toward me, splashing through water. Oh my God. Oh my God. A woman's voice, panicked. Sweetheart, can you hear me? I tried to answer. Nothing came out. Don't move. Just stay still. I'm calling 911. Her hands were on my shoulder. Warm. Gentle. Stay with me. Okay. Stay with me. What's your name? I blinked, trying to focus. Her face was blurry. Dark hair plastered to her skin. Rain streaming down her cheeks. Something about her felt familiar. Had I seen her before? My parents, I whispered, barely able to form the words. Your parents. Okay. What's their number? I'll call them. I coughed. The taste of blood filled my mouth. They don't. My voice trembled, fading. They don't want me. Her expression changed instantly. What? They kicked me out. Each word felt heavier than the last. Said I'm sick. Don't want me anymore. She stared at me, rain pouring down between us. Something shifted in her eyes. Recognition. Or maybe shock. You're going to be okay, she said quickly, but her voice wasn't steady anymore. I promise. You're going to be okay. In the distance. I heard sirens, faint at first, then closer, louder. The last thing I saw was her face hovering above mine, and then everything went black. I don't remember the ambulance. I don't remember arriving at the hospital. The first thing I remember was sound. Beeping machines, harsh fluorescent lights, the sharp smell of antiseptic, and a voice. The same woman. She has a severe concussion, possible internal bleeding. She needs to be monitored closely. I tried to open my eyes. They felt impossibly heavy. Everything hurt. I'm staying. Her voice again. Different now. Firm. Controlled. I'm not leaving her alone. Ma'am, are you family? I'm the one who hit her with my car. A pause. I'm staying until her parents arrive. Time passed in fragments. Voices came and went. I drifted in and out of consciousness. And then, new voices. Familiar ones. Were Kelly Bryant's parents, my father. His voice strained, tight. Mr. and Mrs. Bryant. The woman's voice again. But now, it was cold. Professional. I'm Dr. Vanessa Carter. Silence followed. A shift in the air. Recognition. You're A dean at Northbridge University, my mother asked, her voice unsteady. I am. Doctor, Vanessa Carter replied, calm but firm. And I'm the one who hit your daughter tonight. My father rushed to respond. It was an accident. We don't blame you. She ran into the road during the storm. She was 13, Vanessa said sharply. Soaking wet. Alone. Why was she out there? Silence filled the room. A discipline issue, my father muttered. Vanessa repeated the words slowly, disbelief in her voice. A discipline issue. What kind of discipline sends a child into a storm? My mother tried to interrupt, but Vanessa didn't let her. Your daughter told me you said she wasn't wanted, that she was sick. Lauren spoke up weakly. She's lying. She wasn't even fully conscious. She wasn't lying, Vanessa said coldly. Then everything shifted. Vanessa asked for a social worker. My father tried to regain control, insisting it was a private matter. It stopped being private the moment you put a child in danger. She replied. I felt her hand close around mine. Steady, protective. I'm not leaving until she's safe. A police officer entered, asking questions. My parents tried to defend themselves, but their voices shook. I managed to open my eyes slightly. Everything was blurry, but I saw them. My father, my mother, Lauren behind them. She's waking up, Vanessa said. Everyone out. My father protested, but she didn't hesitate. I'm the doctor here. Out. They left. The room went quiet. Vanessa leaned closer, her voice soft now. You're safe. I promise. Safe. The word felt strange, like something I hadn't known in a long time. I drifted back into darkness. When I woke up again, 3 days had passed. My parents were gone. Vanessa was still there. She had kept her promise. The concussion was serious. I stayed in the hospital for several days. Vanessa visited every day, bringing books, talking to me about school, about possibilities I had never imagined. For the first time. My future didn't feel empty. My parents came once. They stood at the end of the bed like strangers. We're glad you're okay, my mother said. You scared us, my father added. That was all. No apology, no explanation. Lauren didn't come at all. On the 5th day, a social worker named Ms. Reed spoke with me. She asked about everything. My home, my family. That night, and for the first time, I told the truth. Lauren's lies, my parents choosing her, the words they used, sick daughter. She listened carefully. You don't have to go back there, she said gently. I stared at her. Then where would I go at that moment? Vanessa walked in. She can stay with me. I blinked in shock. What it would be temporary, she explained, until we find something more permanent, if that's what she wants. She had already started the paperwork. I couldn't understand it. Why would you do this? She sat beside me, because someone once did the same for me, she said quietly. When I was 17. I was kicked out too. A teacher took me in. It changed everything. She looked at me, her voice gentle but certain. You're not broken, Kelly. You're incredibly capable. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Tears filled my eyes. For the first time, someone believed in me. I'll understand if you want to go back home, she said softly. But for the first time in my life, home didn't feel like a place I wanted to return to. But if you want something different, I'm here. I made my decision right there in that hospital room. I chose different. 6 months later, I was still Kelly Bryant, but everything else had changed. Dr. Vanessa Carter's home was nothing like the house I grew up in. It was quiet, organized, filled with books, plants, and soft music that played in the background like a constant sense of calm. She gave me a room and told me I could make it my own. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had space. I transferred to a new school, started over. No one knew about Lauren. No one knew about my parents. No one knew I had once been called the problem. I was just Kelly, focused, capable, free to breathe. Dr. Carter insisted I call her Vanessa, and she slowly introduced me to a world I had never seen before. University lectures, academic events, conversations about policy, education, and change. Education is freedom, she would say, and no one can take that from you. I believed her. I threw myself into school. Straight A's were no longer just grades. They were proof. Proof that I wasn't broken. Proof that I was never the problem. Vanessa taught me more than just academics. She showed me how systems worked, how opportunities were built, how people could change lives if they chose to. You're going to do something important one day, she told me once over dinner. Simple words, but they stayed with me. I thought about my old family sometimes, wondered if Lauren ever admitted the truth, if my parents ever regretted what they did. But most days, I didn't think about them at all. I heard things occasionally. Lauren was still the center of everything, still the one they protected. And me, they had erased me completely, removed every photo, every trace, like I had never existed. That used to hurt, but not anymore. If they wanted to erase me, I would just become someone they could never ignore again. By my final year of high school, I had a plan. College, education policy, and one day, something bigger. Something that could help kids like me, kids who had been left behind. College became my turning point. Late nights, endless studying, learning how to trust people again. Little by little, I earned a full scholarship to a top university. Vanessa wrote my recommendation letter. It changed everything. I majored in education policy and social justice, minored in psychology. I wanted to understand why some kids were supported and others were abandoned. Every summer, I worked with nonprofits, programs that helped vulnerable students, organizations that fought for second chances. I learned how funding worked, how programs were built, how ideas became real change. I graduated at the top of my class. Vanessa was there. She cried when they called my name. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. And for the first time, I believed it. I got a job right after graduation as a research coordinator at a university. Vanessa's university. Different department, different role, but still connected. At 25, I had an idea. A scholarship program for students who had been pushed aside, abandoned, forgotten. Kids who needed a second chance. I called it the Second Chance Initiative. Simple, direct. Vanessa helped me write the proposals. We secured funding. Started with one university, then two, then five. By 26, we had awarded over $200,000 in scholarships. Dozens of students stayed in school because of it. Some of them were alive because of it. People started noticing. Local media, academic journals, conferences. I shared my story carefully. A girl who had once been told she didn't belong. I never mentioned names. Some things didn't need to be said. Then one day, my colleague Daniel Hayes knocked on my office door. "Kelly, you've been selected as a keynote speaker." I looked up. Where? Riverside State University. My heart skipped. That was Lauren's school. I went quiet. "You have a sister?" he asked. "Not anymore," I said softly. "But she's graduating this year." He hesitated. "Do you want me to decline?" I looked down at my desk. At the scholarship application stacked neatly in front of me, dozens of stories, dozens of second chances. What's the theme? I asked. Resilience, educational equity. They said your work represents everything they stand for. My work, built from the night I was thrown away, from the moment I was told I was broken. I took a slow breath. Will I have full control over my speech completely? I leaned back in my chair, and for the first time in years, I thought about them. Lauren, my parents, sitting in that audience, proud, confident, still believing they had made the right choice. I thought about standing on that stage and telling my story, not for revenge, for closure. I need to talk to you, I said to Vanessa that night over dinner. I told her everything. They have no idea who I am now, no idea what I've built. For all I know, they think I disappeared or failed. She set her fork down and looked at me carefully. What do you want to happen? I want to close this chapter, I said. Not with anger, with truth. I took a breath. If it hurts them, they hurt me first. But this isn't revenge. My story matters. And showing them who I became, despite everything, that's not cruel. That's honest. Vanessa reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Then do it your way, she said softly. Stand tall. Let them see who you are now. The next morning, I called Daniel. Tell the university I accept. I didn't see Lauren in person before the ceremony, but I saw enough. Social media makes it easy to watch someone's life from a distance. She posted constantly. Perfect photos, perfect captions, brunch with friends, study sessions that looked staged, a life that seemed effortless. One post read, "So grateful for my parents who supported me every step of the way." The comments were full of praise. You're amazing. Your parents raised you right. I scrolled once. Just once. There was no trace of me anywhere. No sister. No past. I had been completely erased. One photo caught my attention. Lauren sitting with our parents at dinner, smiling, glasses raised, celebrating my graduation with the two best people in the world. I stared at it longer than I should have. They looked older, but they looked happy, proud. I closed the app. Through old acquaintances. I heard she was excited about graduation, big ceremony, big party after. Everyone would be there. In a group chat I was still quietly part of, someone mentioned the keynote speaker. Apparently, she's really inspiring, Lauren replied. Those speeches are always boring. But whatever. It's my day. I smiled slightly, took a screenshot, not for revenge, just as a reminder. She had no idea what was coming. I wondered if she would recognize me. 13 years changes a person. I wasn't the same girl anymore, not even close. I spent 2 weeks writing my speech, drafting, editing, cutting everything unnecessary. Vanessa helped me refine it. Don't mention names, she advised. Tell the truth. Let them figure it out. I listened. The speech began with facts, statistics, systems, inequality. Then it shifted. At 13. I was told I didn't belong, that I was broken, that I wasn't worth keeping. I practiced over and over, in front of the mirror, keeping my voice calm, controlled. No anger, just truth. Someone saw potential in me when others saw nothing. Someone gave me a second chance. And that changed everything. Daniel handled the rest. Parking, credentials, my name in the program. Kelly Bryant, director of the Second Chance Initiative, the night before the ceremony. I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about that night. My father's voice. My mother turning away. Was I doing the right thing? A soft knock broke the silence. Vanessa stepped in, holding a cup of tea. She sat beside me, just like she had so many times before. Second thoughts. Just thoughts, I admitted. She smiled gently. You're not that girl anymore. Kelly. You're the woman who rebuilt herself. I took the cup from her. Will you be there front row? She said. Always. Morning came faster than I expected. I dressed carefully. A navy suit. Clean. Professional. Vanessa insisted I wear her mother's pearl necklace. In the mirror, I saw someone I barely recognized. Confident, strong, nothing like the girl who stood in the rain years ago. I was ready. The campus was beautiful. Old buildings, green lawns, students in caps and gowns everywhere. Families laughing, taking photos. The air felt alive with possibility. I arrived early and met President Carter in his office. He greeted me warmly. Ms. Bryant, we're honored to have you here. Your work is remarkable. Thank you. Sir, I said. I hope the students take something meaningful from it. Daniel led me backstage. The space buzzed with quiet urgency, faculty adjusting robes, staff checking microphones, graduates peeking through the curtains. I picked up a program and scanned the names. Row 3. Lauren Bryant, Bachelor of Arts, Communications. My chest tightened for a moment. You okay? Daniel asked. I'm fine, I said, folding the program. Just ready. Vanessa arrived shortly after, calm and radiant. She hugged me tightly. You've got this. I know. Head high. Truth. Not revenge. I nodded. She kissed my cheek and went to her seat. The auditorium filled quickly, voices blending, cameras flashing, families laughing. Somewhere in that crowd, my parents sat, proud and unaware. My name was in the program, but small, easy to miss. They would know soon enough. 5 minutes, President Carter said, stepping beside me. I nodded, taking a slow breath. From behind the curtain, I could see the stage, the podium, the lights, and rows of faces stretching out before me. It was time. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family, and then proved them wrong? If yes, type yes. If not, type no. And if this story speaks to you, don't forget to like it. Helps others find it too. Now, everything changed. President Carter stepped onto the stage. The room quieted. Welcome, graduates, families, and honored guests. Today we celebrate resilience, achievement, and potential. Applause followed. Our keynote speaker represents those values. Please welcome the director of the Second Chance Initiative, Ms. Kelly Bryant. More applause. Polite. Curious. I stepped into the light. The stage felt vast, the microphone waiting at center. I walked forward, steady and composed. Then I saw her. Row 3, Lauren, smiling, clapping, leaning toward her friend. Then she looked up, saw me. Her hands froze. Her smile vanished. Confusion turned to recognition. Then shock. She couldn't speak. Behind her, my parents were still clapping, unaware. I reached the podium, adjusted the microphone, and looked out. Lauren stared, pale. Her friend nudged her. Vanessa sat in the front row, giving me a quiet nod. I steadied my hands. Good morning, I began. Thank you, President Carter. My voice carried clearly, strong. I saw my father lean forward, trying to recognize it. My mother's hand rose to her chest. I smiled softly. It's an honor to be here. A brief pause. Today, I want to talk about resilience, about losing everything and still finding a way forward. The room fell silent. Let me tell you about a 13-year-old girl, I said. She was told she didn't belong, that she wasn't worth keeping. From the stage, I saw my mother's hand tighten around my father's arm. One night, in the middle of a storm, I said, steady and clear, a girl was told to leave, told she wasn't wanted. A ripple moved through the crowd. She walked alone for hours. No phone, no money, no place to go. And that night, she was hit by a car. Silence filled the room. She almost didn't survive. Lauren froze, pale, but someone stopped. I continued. Someone saw potential where others saw a problem. I glanced at the front row. Vanessa's eyes were shining. That person became her family, her mentor, her mother. I paused. That 13-year-old girl was me. The auditorium went completely still. My father shifted, half rising before my mother pulled him back down. Both stared in shock. Lauren looked like she might disappear. Her friends whispered, confused. I'm here today because Dr. Vanessa Carter didn't give up on me when my own family did. More whispers spread. She taught me that rejection isn't the end. Sometimes, it's the beginning. I kept my voice calm. The Second Chance Initiative came from that moment, for students who've been abandoned, told they're not enough. I met Lauren's eyes. Rejection doesn't define you. What you do after does. She looked away first, shoulders shaking. People around her were starting to understand. That program has now helped dozens of students keep going. A voice whispered, "Is that her family?" I didn't react. I learned something important. I steadied my hands. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose you when others walk away. Vanessa wiped her eyes. You don't need everyone to believe in you. Just one person who sees the truth. Lauren was crying now. Her friends stared at her, no longer whispering. And success, I said firmly, isn't about proving people wrong. It's about building something meaningful despite them. My father's hands trembled. My mother cried quietly. I looked out at the graduates. Remember this. Your worth isn't defined by who stays. It's defined by how you rise after they leave. I paused. You will face doubt, rejection. That's part of life. But you choose what comes next. You choose who you become. For a moment. Silence. Then someone stood. Then more. Applause grew, spreading across the room. Not everyone. My father stayed seated, face in his hands. My mother clapped weakly through tears. Lauren didn't move, just stared down. I stepped back. Thank you. Mrs. Bryant, President Carter said. That was powerful. I nodded and walked off stage, behind the curtain. I finally exhaled. The ceremony continued. Names called. Applause, echoing. But something had shifted. I watched through the curtain. Lauren Bryant, Bachelor of Arts, Communications. She stood slowly and walked toward the stage. Her smile was tight, almost unnatural. Her hands trembled as she took the diploma. The applause came, but it wasn't full. Some people clapped. Others just watched, whispering. She stepped off the stage quickly, disappearing into the crowd. Her friends gathered around her, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Lauren kept shaking her head, trying to explain, but nothing seemed convincing anymore. A few rows behind. My parents sat frozen. No movement, no words, just silence. When the ceremony ended, caps flew, cheers filled the room, and families rushed forward. I slipped out quietly through a side door. Vanessa was waiting. She pulled me into a hug. You did it. I let out a slow breath. I did. How do you feel? I thought for a second. Free. Daniel walked over. Still stunned. That was incredible. I had no idea. I'm okay. I said before he could ask. He hesitated. Your parents are here. They want to talk. My chest tightened. Do I have to? No. I can stop them. I shook my head. No, I'll handle it. Vanessa squeezed my hand. I'm right here. I nodded and walked toward the entrance. They were standing near a pillar. My father looked pale, older. My mother's makeup was smeared from crying. Lauren stood behind them, silent. I stopped a few feet away. You wanted to talk? My father struggled to speak. We didn't know you'd be here. I'm sure you didn't. My mother's voice trembled. You look well? I am, I said. Vanessa made sure of that. She stood just behind me, calm but protective. We owe you an apology. My father said. You owe me more than that. I replied evenly, but it's a start. We made a mistake. My mother whispered, a terrible one. You should have protected me. I said, that's what parents do. I kept my voice calm, but firm. You chose Lauren's lie over me. You called me sick. You threw me out into a storm. Lauren flinched, tears falling again. I was wrong, my father said, voice breaking. I've regretted that night every day. Good. The word came out sharp. Can we talk? As a family, my mother asked. I shook my head gently. We're not a family. Not angry. Just true. You made that decision years ago, but we can fix it. My father insisted. There's nothing to fix. I said, you made your choice. I made mine. Silence fell between us. Kelly. Lauren's voice was quiet, broken. I'm sorry. I was young. I didn't understand. I looked at her. You were old enough to know what you were doing. Daniel stepped in, handing me a folder. Your scholarship applications. My name and title were printed clearly on the front. My father stared at it. You built this, yes? My mother opened it slowly. Her face changed as she read. How many students? Dozens. And growing. You're in charge of this, senior director. She closed the folder, hands shaking. At that moment, President Carter approached with a smile. That was one of the most powerful speeches we've had. The students won't forget it. Thank you, I said calmly. President Carter smiled at my parents. Are you Kelly's family? You must be proud. Silence. Vanessa answered smoothly. They are. My father forced a nod. Yes. Very proud. After President Carter left, he looked at me. We had no idea. You never asked. I said calmly. You erased me. My mother's voice trembled. I tried to find you. I made sure you couldn't. I replied. I needed to heal. Did you? My father asked. Yes. No thanks to you. Before they could respond, Lauren's friends approached. Is she really your sister? Lauren nodded, unable to speak. You said you were an only child. Another voice cut in. You told us she died. I looked at her. You told people I was dead? She flushed. I didn't know what to say. Easier than telling the truth, one friend snapped. Silence. One girl turned to me. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. Thank you, I said quietly. They walked away, leaving Lauren alone. My mother reached for her. Lauren, don't, she said sharply. Then she looked at me, eyes shaking. I wanted to tell the truth, but I was scared of that everyone would hate me. They should, she whispered. I stepped closer. I don't hate you, I said. I forgive you, for my own peace. Hope flickered in her eyes. But I don't want a relationship. Respect that. Can't we just... No. You made those choices for 13 years. That's not a mistake. That's who you became. She broke down. I turned to Vanessa. Can we go? She nodded. Let's go home. We walked away. Behind me, Lauren cried, My father called my name. I didn't stop. That moment had been 13 years in the making. If you've ever had to set boundaries with people who hurt you, comment below. And if this story resonates, consider subscribing. In the weeks after, my phone wouldn't stop. Voicemails from my father, apologies, emails from my mother, long and full of excuses. I didn't respond. Work kept me steady. Applications poured in. Then my speech went viral. Clips spread. Thousands watched. Comments flooded in. This is powerful. Family isn't blood. I needed this. I read some, then stopped. I focused on what mattered. Then one email stood out. Subject you deserve to know. It was from one of Lauren's friends. Inside were screenshots, group chats. I can't believe she lied about her sister being dead. That's insane. I don't want her at my wedding. I stared at the messages, not shocked, not angry, just certain. Lauren's world was finally catching up to her. Before this story comes to an end, I want to ask you something. If you were in my place, would you choose to forgive parents and a sister who hurt you so deeply? If your answer is yes, write yes. If the pain is too much and you couldn't forgive, write no. And if you're still unsure, still thinking, write maybe. Lauren's carefully built world was falling apart. A small part of me felt sorry for her, but most of me felt nothing, just relief. That night, Vanessa and I had dinner. Quiet, peaceful. How are you feeling? She asked. I thought about it for a moment. Light. I said, like I finally put something down I didn't even realize I was carrying. She smiled softly. You handled everything with grace. They want to fix things, I added. But I don't think I want that. She squeezed my hand. That's okay. You're allowed to walk away. 2 weeks later, my assistant buzzed me. Kelly, there's a man here. He says he's your father. My chest tightened slightly. Give me 5 minutes. I straightened my desk, took a breath, and waited. When he walked in, he looked older, tired, smaller somehow. Thank you for seeing me, he said. I have a meeting soon. I replied. He nodded, sitting across from me like a stranger. We were wrong, he said. I was wrong. What I did, it was unforgivable. Yes, I said calmly. It was. He swallowed hard. Lauren told us everything. The lies. All of it. 13 years too late. I know. His hands shook. We've lived with that guilt every day. I leaned back slightly. Forgiveness isn't the problem. I said, trust is. And that's gone. Tears rolled down his face. What can I do? Nothing. I answered. It's too late. A few days later, I received an email from Lauren. I almost deleted it, but I read it. She admitted everything. The jealousy, the lies, the fake messages, the bruise. She said she planned it all. She said she never thought it would go that far. She said she was scared to tell the truth. And then, she said she told everyone I was dead because it was easier than admitting what she'd done. I read it twice. Saved it. Didn't reply. More emails came after that. Longer. More desperate. After the 5th one, I finally answered. Short. Clear. I told her I forgave her for my own peace, but I didn't want contact. After that, she stopped writing. My speech kept spreading online. Thousands of people watched it. Messages poured in. People saying it gave them hope. That they felt seen. That they needed to hear it. I focused on the work. More applications. More funding. More students. More second chances. A local news station interviewed me, but I made one thing clear. This isn't about me. I told them. It's about the students. Still, The impact grew. More universities joined. More programs launched. One day, I received screenshots from one of Lauren's old friends, group chats, conversations, people distancing themselves from her. I can't believe she lied about her sister being dead. That's insane. I don't want her in my life anymore. I stared at the messages for a long time, not satisfied, not happy, just certain. Choices have consequences, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the one paying for them anymore. Looking back on everything, I've learned that being rejected doesn't define your worth. What you choose to build afterward does. I was once told I didn't belong, that I was broken. But I found that one person, one chance, can change everything. And maybe that's why you're here too. Maybe this story found you for a reason. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Truly. If this story meant something to you, even in a small way, I hope you'll take a moment to subscribe, leave a comment, or share it. Not for me, but for someone out there who might need this message today, because your one click, your one share, could help someone feel seen, feel stronger, or choose not to give up. And that matters more than you think.